Hey y'all, I'm back. Where did we leave off? I'm sorry for the abrupt end to the last video, but my baby and I had to discuss some important things. He's doing some business here. So anyway, that was priority. So I think I left off talking about the drug dealers, the local pharmacists in the neighborhood, right? And this goes back to what I was saying as far as me being different in my way of thinking. And it was the way I was groomed by my grandmothers. So that's what made the difference. And the way I was groomed saved me, trust me. Bless the Lord of my soul. But in any event, that didn't stop me from being human. That didn't stop me from being lonely. That didn't stop me from being naive. Because I was man, when I think about just how naive I was at the time in my early 20s, I was grown enough to be married and have children, but I was really naive about a lot of things. And I had a lot to learn. And of course, the knowledge that I have now at 53 is no comparison to being 20 something years old, especially being freshly divorced or separated, because we weren't really divorced yet, but we were separated, having to raise two children alone. It was a lot. It was a lot. And I desired the company of men. I love to talk to men and just the attention. I mean, we like those things when you're young. You wanted somebody to build with, somebody to grow with, somebody to hang out with, somebody to tell you that you're pretty, somebody who, kept you company. And I wasn't running around all over the place being intimate with everybody, but there was a foolish part of my life where I was meeting guys, and because I was lonely, I would exchange numbers, and sometimes I would have them come over. And I'm going to do a specific video in reference to that, because I think that is very important for young ladies to guard yourself and protect yourself, because some bad things can happen when you are living alone and you're lonely and you're inviting men to your home and they know you're alone. It's a very dangerous and risky game to play. But anyway, back to this materialism thing and how I shared with you guys that I was different, that those things didn't matter to me. There was drug dealers in the neighborhood who hooked up with women that lived there, and they took care of them and their children. They paid their bills, and so, women felt secure with these guys, right? That's not the lifestyle that I decided to live, because I could have done that. I met 3 drug dealers that wanted to be with me at different times in my life living where I lived in Brownsville. And I remember one particular one named Steve. He was a good looking guy. I mean, he was good looking. And I'm sure he did not get turned down by a lot of women, especially because we were suffering, from lack of finances and, raising children alone and stuff. It's easy to let somebody just take care of you, but I just couldn't do it, right? So when I met this particular guy, 2 friends and I were on our way out. I mean, I did so much stuff in life so much later, because when I was a teenager, I didn't go out, I didn't party, I didn't get to do things like that. My mom was not having it, right? So I didn't get to do that. So I was kind of a late bloomer, but I loved to dance. And so I would go out and go dance. And this is where I would meet guys. A club scene is not really a great place to meet a guy to fall in love with and have a happily ever after. But in any event, like I said, I was naive. So, you think you can meet people different places and maybe something good can come out of it. But anyway, we were on our way out this particular night. Stopped to the store to get my little double mint gum. Had to have fresh breath, you know what I'm saying? And so I got my double mint gum, and in the store there was this guy, good looking guy named Steve. Steve was nicely dressed, well put together. He had a big wad of money. It just so happened he had pulled it out of his pocket or whatever to get something he bought. And I'm like walking past him to go get my gum. So I asked the guy for the pack of double mint gum, and he passed it to me. So Steve looks at me and go, "Can I get a piece of your gum?" And I'm like, "Well, you just took a wad of money out your pocket. You could buy all the gum in the case here." So we laughed it off or whatever. And we end up exchanging numbers, to make a long story short. I didn't give him my exact address, but I did tell him where I lived after we spoke on the phone a little bit. And just out of curiosity, he's a good looking guy. I'm not going to lie. He was a nice looking man. Young man. We were young. So he was like, "I want to see you and let's talk and blah, blah, blah." So I ended up allowing that to happen. I didn't give him my apartment number. As I said, I went downstairs and I sat in his car with him and we chit-chatted. So as we were talking, he looked at me and he was like, "So tell me about yourself." So that's what we do when you meet somebody, you chit-chat. We both had 2 children. We talked about our status as far as being married or being with anybody. We discussed our likes and dislikes, and then he said, "So you a corny girl, aren't you?" And I busted out laughing. I'm like, "Yes, I am. I'm quite corny." And he said, "I could tell." He said, "You ain't no street girl." I said, "No, I'm not." And I was born and bred in Brownsville Projects, but I was not of that lifestyle, and that's what protected me, having the grandmothers that I did, warning me and telling me what thus said the Lord, my Lord. I'm telling you, that stuff sticks with you for some of us, because a lot of us are hard-headed, but it's just best to put that into your child so that they can always think before they do foolish things. And we're going to still do foolish things, but when you think about it deeply enough, you'll be like, oh, this is not right. But nothing came of that thing with Steve, and he had a fly car. Now, I cannot remember those cars in the 90s that every drug dealer had. And I know some of y'all are probably yelling it at the screen right now, but I can't remember, because I tell you, I'm not materialistic, so I don't even remember. I just know that everybody had these cars, and I know Steve had a green one. And I said all of this to say that I could have dealt with this gentleman to come up a little bit. I could have had him pay my bills. I could have relaxed, not worry about bills. I could have had my children wearing all these expensive clothes. I too could have worn jewels and expensive clothes, because he would have done it, but it's an exchange for those types of things. He give, you got to give. And I'm not that type of girl. I didn't prostitute myself. I always wanted to be with a guy because I thought there was going to be a relationship in it, right? And if I didn't choose to be with you, it was because of your lifestyle or some things you've done that's like wild style that I'm not into, that scares me and makes me go running. So needless to say, that didn't work out. But I'm just showing you how I ran from stuff like that when I could have benefited from it financially. But that's not how, like I said, that was not how I was taught. And my mom installed in me a long time ago. She always said, don't play with a man's feelings, right? And that was for me to be safe, because a lot of times when you don't like a guy and you hanging out with them, because a lot of women did that too. A lot of women didn't like a lot of guys. They hung out with them, they had sex with them or whatever, because they wanted something in exchange. They wanted help. And my mother always told me that that wasn't cool, and that if you didn't want to give yourself to somebody or have a relationship with them, it wouldn't be wise to take money from them and use them, because one day they're going to get mad and they're going to want to collect, and they might collect brutally against your will. So no, I was taught those things, so I didn't play those games with guys. And usually I was up front when I met guys and I knew I didn't want to have a relationship. I just wanted their company. I would tell them that, and it never lasted, because they didn't just want my company. As I said, I'm gonna share another video with you guys in reference to those things, but I just want to talk about the materialism. We know that in our neighborhoods, a lot of things were not taught in its proper way as far as raising our children. Our children saw a lot of things that were not right. Mothers getting beat up by these guys, because of course once they take care of you like that, they feel like they own you, and that you can't talk to anybody else. You got to do what they say, be home when they want you to be home. Oh yeah, it was a lot of stuff that went along with that cash, honey. A lot of stuff that went along with the cash that they were giving you. I also met another gentleman. His brother went to school with my brother, so we knew them, and I hadn't seen him in a long time. I suppose he was locked up and he had just gotten out, so he went right back to selling. So of course he's in my neighborhood. As I'm walking by, he'd be like, hey girl, we chit-chatting and stuff like that. We would talk here and there. He said, let me have your number. I was silly at the time. I didn't have a problem with exchanging numbers. I exchanged numbers with him, and we chit-chatted here and there. And he was discussing with me how he wanted to help pay for my babysitter. And I'm like, no, those children are not yours. You don't owe me that. No, he got angry with me because I was denying his help. I denied his help. And then he would say stuff like, I don't want you to do nothing for it. It ain't a big deal. I'm just trying to help you. He called me stupid. Yes, he did. He called me stupid. You stupid. You don't know when a man trying to help you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not my man, nor are you my daughter's father. I'm not asking you for anything. We just chit-chat and talking as friends. But he got upset. Now, if he carried on like that And I was not intimate with him. Only God knows what could have happened if I had took it there. You know what I'm saying? And it was things like that that I wanted to avoid. I never wanted my children to see some man beating on me or running me, or some man in and out of my room. I never wanted that. And I'm not perfect. I'm not saying things didn't occur in my youth after I broke up with their dad. You know, I'm not saying that. But for the most part, I had to always put my children first. And materialistic things was never of more value than my children's safety. I thought about, what if somebody tells somebody that this person is around me and they come and they take my children from me? I thought about those things, honey. Those things were way above, way more important than some money and things and getting my rent paid by somebody else and all that kind of stuff. You know, the Most High God always kept me. I always had what I needed. You know, it was some times where there was a struggle. There was times when I cried, but I never thought that it would be okay, or I never got that desperate to say, well, let me just go and talk to this guy. And there was some that I was attracted to. So it could have been, you know, a little passionate thing, a little lustful thing, a little lustful adventure. And so while I come up a little bit, while they help me out and, you know, relieve some of the tension and stress of the finances on me and my daughters, I could have done that. I could have, but that was never a choice for me. And I'm not knocking the ladies who did it, because I understood why. I understand why, because I was there. I was you. But it was always something inside of me, and that was taught. My value has nothing to do with my body, my face, has nothing to do with that. My reputation is important. My reputation, what people think of me in reference to my character, is major. So those things took precedence, and those are the things that I put in my babies. I wanted them to know that their value was based on their heart, their brain, how you treat people. It's not about what you're wearing, who you're with, nor how you look, but it's about what's in here. That's where the quality and the value comes, you know. So I just wanted to share this little video with you all today and just talk about things like this, because I like the basics. And I know these people call people basic, and it's supposed to be some type of insult. My thinking process is not basic, though. Nah. My heart, what I feel in here for people, is not basic. What I have, as far as monetary is concerned, or materialism is concerned, yeah, it's basic. It sure is. It sure is. But you know what? I find value in other things in life. I love my family. I love my friends. I love my people. Family. The Most High God, the way He intended for it to be, and how we should treat one another. All of these things are so much more important to me than the things of this world. I was looking at what happened with Katrina. This was years ago, and I remember them interviewing this woman, and she was a Caucasian woman, her and her husband, and they were standing outside where their house used to be after Katrina came by and just destroyed everything. And they were standing there, and what she said, it hit home. And I'm not telling you to not work for the things that you want. If you want a house, you want these things, go for it. Knock yourself out. Live your life the way you want to live it, the best way you feel that you can live it, right? But it made me think about the importance of things versus people. As they stood there in the spot where their house used to be, and it was nothing but rubble all around them. Nothing that they had that was of valuable made it through the storm. And I remember she stood there and she looked and she said, everything we worked our whole lives for is gone. And I'm like, wow, that's deep. When you love things so much, it's heart-wrenching to lose them. But they didn't lose this. They didn't lose that. That's forever. That's forever. So that taught me a valuable lesson. You know, when we look at things as everything, you can lose these things. These things are not going to be permanent. You know, what matters most is each other, how we deal with one another, because even we don't last forever. You know, when it's time for God to take us, He's going to do so. The Most High God, it's time for us to go, we're going to go. And so we cherish the moments that we have, and we make our lives valuable by loving each other and giving charity to one another. So these are the things what's important to me. And these are simplistic things that money cannot buy. Money can't buy these things, family. What's most important, money cannot buy. And they're the most valuable, precious things that God blessed us with. So love each other, and remember, life is short. Things come, things go. You can always replace a thing. Things can always be replaced. You can always purchase another one, but you cannot purchase another you, and you cannot purchase the people that you love again once they go. So these things are of valuable. These things are of value, and these are the things that makes my life worth living. I don't care about all that other stuff. All that other stuff is just stuff. It's just stuff. And if I care about that more than I care about people, this is what makes money an ugly thing. When people love it more than they love themselves, more than they love our maker. When you love money more than anything, you'll do anything horrible to get it. You know? Teach your children respect, to be trustworthy, to be honest, to earn money in a reputable way, not any old kind of way. My baby is back, y'all, and this is the end of this second video. Blessings to you all. Peace, love, and blessings.